This is Jeff Korhan with jeffkorhan.com, and today we have a special guest, Ron Culberson, who is an author, a speaker, a humorist, and we're going to talk a little bit about his new book, which is Do It Well, Make It Fun. And I'll let Ron introduce himself, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate the fact that you held up my book because I have a copy too.
A hard copy.
Yeah, and I'm always happy to be a special guest, not just a standard guest, but a special guest. But thanks for having me. What would you like to know?
I'd like to know your take on the book as far as what prompted you to write it.
Well, my career has kind of evolved in a lot of different ways. I started out as a humorist, but not thinking that I would eat if I just billed myself as a humorist. So I ended up doing a lot of different programs, human resource kind of things like stress management, time management, communication skills, team building, yada, yada, yada. But what people generally hired me for was humor. And so I, for many years, billed myself as someone who talked about the benefits of humor, the proactive benefits of humor, how to make the workplace more fun, how to manage stress, etc. But all along, what I realized I was telling people was that humor in and of itself is good, but not completely by itself. You need to combine it with other things. And if you combine humor and fun with a foundation of excellence in what you do, it actually makes you more successful. And the easiest way to explain that is to think about a boss that you had. If you ever had a boss that was really good at what he or she did, but they were fun to be around, you're much more likely to want to produce and want to be with that person, want to go to work. And that's essentially the concept of the book. So I've given people, I think, 22 chapters on different things in life and work where you can do things well, but make the process more fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I discovered was that I became more productive just by thinking about having fun. And
Yeah.
I think we get, at least some of us, get into our heads and we say we're doing our work and we have to do our work. And I thought, gosh, you made a comment in there about how when you have a big project to do, you just put on some music and make it fun. And I started just having the intention of making my work fun. And it was amazing how that just lifted my productivity.
Well, one of the things I used to do, if we ever had a dinner party where we invited friends over for dinner, the cleanup part was always the worst for me. You have this great experience. I love to cook, but I hate to clean up. So we cook all this great food. We have, great time, fellowship during dinner. And then it's time to clean up that mess. I would put my iPhone or my iPod in and just crank it while I was washing dishes. And it was like no time, I'd be done. And to me, it's just amazing how we don't think about all the things we do as processes. And if you think about everything we do as a process, you can break down those processes into steps. And then the steps can be improved, which is where the excellence comes in, or they can be more fun. So just thinking more logistically about the process really can make us change the way we do just about anything. And I want to point out, too, that one of the things that's interesting that several people focus on the business side of the book, there are a lot of personal chapters in there as well, like how to be a good parent or how to improve your marriage or are you involved in hobbies or are you involved in volunteerism? And I kind of think of that as the holistic approach, that we're not just about our job, but there are other aspects of our life that we can improve too.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, the more you get involved in other activities, and this particular site is for small businesses who are involved in a lot of activities, but a good deal of that is online marketing, creating new material, new content. And I don't know, I've found that the more involved you are in life, period, the more likely you run into things that intersect and give you these ideas for creating new things.
Right. I subscribe to a magazine called Mental Floss Magazine, and they're very successful. They're a business. They have a magazine, but they also sell T-shirts. And I think they're some of the most clever and funniest T-shirts I've ever seen. And I saw one today for the first time that showed a spork. That combination of a spoon and a fork that you get in fast food restaurants. And the T-shirt showed a spork, and it was divided like you would divide a ham or pig to look at the different parts of the pig. And it showed like the fork and the spoon, but underneath it said spork, the other white utensil. And I just think that's hilarious. And so, like you were just saying, your work is focused on businesses. To me, that's an example of an organization or a magazine that has made the business of what they do more fun. It is one of the most fun magazines to read, in addition to just the valuable content. So they combine those two elements in a way that I think make them more successful.
Mm-hmm. Now let me test a theory. Okay, so I'm probably somebody that I would say is challenged with humor, but as I
I would
was,
agree.
I'm sorry?
I would agree. Go ahead.
Well, as I was working on this, I thought, gosh, it feels like my work is becoming more personal. And then I kind of reflected back on the book and I realized all of these stories that you told were personal to you. So is this a way to, is it all, does humor, is it about putting more of you into your work or whatever you happen to be doing?
It's interesting you asked that question. I read an article recently where they talked about Toni Morrison, who's what do you call a Pulitzer Prize winning author. She says, "I don't write about what I know. I write about what I don't know." And I've always been one of those people that write about what I know. Somebody asked me, "What are the theories that my book is based on?" I said, "Mine."
Yes,
Essentially, I don't do the kind of nonfiction where I go out and do a ton of research and ask other people what they think. I just put my take on things. So for me, humor and the book and the theories or ideas that I have are very personal. They come from my own experiences. They come from my own theories, if you will. But also just the stories come from personal life experiences. I think the stories become metaphors and a great way to teach because I believe people will understand and learn from stories probably more effectively than just content. But as far as humor in and of itself, is it personal? I guess it probably is from the perspective that each of us have our own angle. So what makes me laugh will not necessarily make you laugh. And so that's some of the biggest challenge when it comes to the universal nature of humor is making sure that we're all on the same page. I might find something very cerebrally funny, but the next person doesn't get it. So then it doesn't work in my speaking business to use that kind of humor if people don't get it. So I'm always looking for those things that make me laugh but are also universally funny so that other people laugh too. But I know a lot of people that just, they have that experience where they think things are funny but it doesn't necessarily connect that way with others. So maybe they don't use it as a way to teach or to speak or to write, but they use it for their own enjoyment. And that's perfectly fine.
Right. Well, we have to use what works for us. And I personally found the book to be actually hysterically funny. And the first chapter especially, it really gets off to a great start. And after that, I know your wit and your delivery, so I probably found more humor in things that other people might have passed over. But I realized that the way you weave things together is very interesting.
Thanks.
Well, I do a lot of blogging here, and I personally have found that the personal stories are what resonate with people, and I think that's probably a big takeaway for all of us in running a better business is to, make it more personal, obviously make it fun. I've taken up quite a bit of your time today, but for this small business audience, are there other things that you would like to leave us with? You talked about process. We talk about that a lot here in a step-by-step process. What other tips might you want to share with them?
Well, I think what you hit on just right now, when you talk about social media, I mean, small businesses, their goals are to get out there and get business. And so the way that I think that they're going to do that most successfully is to resonate with their customers. And like you said, if personal stories are resonating, why is that? And I think the reason that they are is because when we tell a story, we connect with the stories in our audience or our customers. So if you're going to advertise a business, if you tell a story as to why that business works for the customer, I think you're connecting in a great way. Look at the Super Bowl. Half of the Super Bowl ads are funny. Well, why is that? Because people like to be entertained. But we got to make sure that in the process of doing that, we're connecting with what the needs of the customer are. There are a ton of Super Bowl commercials that I can't tell you who the company was or what they sell. And so to me, that's a little ineffective because we're not using the power of that humor or that story to connect the message of what we deliver. So I think for your audience and your readers on your blog, the most important thing to realize is, yes, the stories sell, the humor sells, but it's got to connect to the message of what you're doing for your customers. And then you've got the trifecta. You've got a really effective way of getting the message across.
Right. I guess we could say that humor humanizes, and obviously that connects.
Absolutely.
Well, Ron, thanks for your time, and I want to wish you good luck as the incoming president to the National Speakers Association, and obviously good luck with your book as well.
Thanks so much, Jeff. I appreciate your having me.
You bet. Thanks for joining us.